Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 3. We are actually about the halfway point of the evening, but that doesn't mean the games get any less exciting. Actually, they continue to grow in excitement as we look towards that final game between Flyng and Natives. But for now, I'll stick to what we're about to witness. It is Munster Rugby Gaming 4-1 going up against an overperforming Lucent, who are currently sitting at a scoreline of 3-2.
Yeah, and I think that for Munster here, they're coming into this one sat joint top of the table. Quite rightly so. We've touted this bot lane as probably one of the best in the league, if not the best. And just heard, of course, from Blueburn, Chimera. He at least feels that he is going to be, or Chimera is the best mid laner in the league as well. So with there we say that the best mid lane, best bot lane, it's understandable that they're going to be in that top spot, and have to wait and see how well that transitions into this game against, as you said, this overperforming Lucent. I wonder if you could elaborate a little bit more on the overperforming part, because this team, I know they've been playing well together, and I want to know if there's a bit more to it.
And Lucent, when you really look at it, doesn't have a shining team on paper. They don't have a roster that screams, this is a top team. But when you really look at how they've played, they've overperformed in terms of their team communication. They've been on point, they've followed each other's calls, and the thing about them overperforming really comes from the fact that I was watching Burns after NLC Div 2 show. Very informative, by the way, by Middlecut, and they had also CJ on that day, but they were joined by Lucent's owner, and even he was like, yeah, I built this roster. I was expecting to finish mid-team. It was a mid-tier team. It wasn't a team that was supposed to fight for the top place, but so far they've been able to take games of teams like Flyng, and they really just are on the same page. None of these players has otherwise had any significant experience that has been very good.
What we do now then, head into the draft, and we see if their winning ways can continue up against Munster Rugby Gaming, who've only taken the one defeat thus far. See if they end up finding themselves another one here, because so far all of our games have tied up the scores between the two teams. It's possible that happens once again here, potentially having both teams end on 4-2. We do have a pick and ban, and already, as you can see, a lot of focus towards Stumpy on Munster Rugby Gaming. The Hammerdinger taken away, the Gwen as well as the Diana. A little bit of a focus toward Gabosh and Stumpy in general. Zeri away on red side. We've got things like the Corki still open. It slipped through our bans, but here it's going to be a very fast Lee Sin pick-up. Fantasy wants this one for himself.
Yeah, we are flying through this draft, man.
Chimera
6 bans
Corki,
and 1 pick already locked in. Please, no, Corgi.
This is Corki. It has to be Corki first.
As you say, it will likely. Ah, god damn it, man! I thought we could go 5 games without it, but no, we get the Corgi Thresh instead. Take it along.
And I noticed when I was doing my little bit of research here that prepping and going around Rift Herald is something that Div 2 teams just love to do, whether they've got the Corki or not. Now that Chimera's got this in his back pocket, Munster Rugby Gaming just have that Rift Herald prio incredibly well enhanced with their ability to utilize the package and find the win in that instance. That's certainly going to be something that they're going to be doing on the top side of the map and finding a lot of advantages through those means. Now they get the supports as well locked on in. This is going to be a fairly different draft in terms of how we typically see it played on out, because we've already got the jungle locked in. We've got a mid laner in first rotation, so we have to wait and see what Munster look to respond with, whether they're going to match jungle, match potentially bot lane, to see where things are heading round.
So the bot lane has now been completed for Munster Rugby Gaming. They will fill it out with the Jinx, Thresh, a bot lane, if they get ahead, that is certainly able to take over the game and just reset their way to their opponent's nexus. This bot lane for Munster Rugby Gaming, one of the strongest in the league. Baloo, NLC player throughout the entirety of last year. Merbs playing over in the LCL, finishing first in a regular season, second and third throughout the players as well, almost making worlds. This bot lane did not come here just to play. They came to conquer.
Yeah, and they're certainly proven that thus far. Jinx Thresh as a bot lane duo, probably one of the best that you can draft for yourself here. Nautilus is an okay answer into the Jinx. You've just got point and click CC, which helps you when trying to take her down in team fights. So it's not the worst support matchup necessarily, but we know that Thresh is supposed to counter this Nautilus just in those pure micro situations. The Seraphine rather as well, something that could still be quite easily flexed around mid or AD carry, very much possible for either one of these. And with the mid lane bans coming through from Munster Rugby Gaming, you can see they feel like this is for you all day long, taking the Seraphine, but with those 2 mid bans, you could just go, hey, you know what, we fancy the Seraphine into this one. Would be giving the Corki a fairly free laning phase, but you never know what they're going to be fancying. Jungle bans on the flip side make absolutely perfect sense here. Jarvan plus Zinzar taken off the board are the 2 sort of other S tier ones that we expect to see taken away. Viego does still exist here for Munster Rugby Gaming if they want to pick that one up. Things like the Trundle as well, we've seen sort of rise a little bit to prominence. Volley Bearer as well could well be taken.
look to be the top laner being locked in now for Munster Rugby Gaming. As we talked about before, Stumpy has some champs that are not tanks in his champion pool, but so far willing to take the tank for his team, to be able to play for the team fights, and to be able to play around Merbs and Baloo, who just look to smurf through NLC Division 2.
I think this should have been jungle for Munster. I'm excited. I'm intrigued by taking this on 4 because you could have given yourself a slightly better matchup. Maybe they're just hard focused on trying to keep their bot side as the carry area, but they elect to take in a blind top laner when they could have just answered with the jungle. It's going to be another shield coming through. This has to be a hyper carry in the top lane, something like the Aurelia, like the Camille coming through, because currently their damage on Lucent isn't particularly abundant. They've got Ori for a good shockwave. They've got a really strong burst of teamfight, but that consistent DPS, not the most present. So something heavy hitting out of the top lane definitely needed to come through. And yeah, there we go. It is the Camille to answer to the Ornn. Very good matchup in general. We see this taken time and time again. And then also just needed to be a lot of physical damage coming through.
So the jungler yet to be locked in. The first champion locked in from Lucent will be the last one locked in from Munster Rugby Gaming. And they're hovering between a lot of different things, but if you can give me a prediction before he locks it in, what do you think he'll pick?
Viego, surely. Please.
Diego.
Okay,
Oh.
that works as well. I mean, it's to answer it. We saw, I think in season 11, and this is kind of why I'm slightly intrigued by the resurgence of Volibear, was that people were taking Volibear just because of his untapped or unparalleled early dueling potential, and up against Lee Sin, this still exists. Xin Zhao sort of rose in jungle priority as an answer to the Volibear because it was kind of the one jungler that could best out a Volibear in those duels. So where we see Volibear return to prevalency, you know, it's when we tend to see the dip of Xin Zhao, or the rise of Xin Zhao as well. But for Lucent, they've got themselves a lot of supports here overall, right? They've got Seraphine, Nautilus down on the bot side. That is expected to be a losing 2 versus 2 just because you've got Jinx Thresh on the other side. Maybe the early stages going to be a little bit more difficult for Munster, but the top side for Lucent is where they're going to be thriving. They've got Castrulan on a Camille Fantasy with that Lee Sin. That's a lot of upfront physical damage that is going to be looking to take down the 2 backline carries of Munster Rugby Gaming. And fortunately, if they can do that, we're going to see these team fights go Lucent's way because we've got a very different style. Just raw HP coming through on the Munster Rugby Gaming side with Stumpy, Gaboosh, and Baloo, all going to be hopefully fairly HP stacking. And then on the flip side, we've got this fake HP that I like to call it, where you've got a load of shields coming through from the Ori Ball, from the Seraphine, and all the healing that that's going to be providing, and all of the healing from just Camille and Lee Sin with a Gordrinker, Conqueror, all that good stuff to regenerate that HP over time instead of just having a flat pool that you delve into.
So am I correct to understand that Lucent will be looking to play around their strong top side, which did also play together during Winter Showdown, to try and snowball this Camille so he will get an easier time trying to kill someone like Merbs in the team?
You certainly can, because a snowballed Camille obviously going to be quite exciting. And looking at the Munster Rugby Gaming squad, they are heading up 5 towards this top side, and they may well be able to find this sort of pocket of vision where they walk into the top side river brush, which is unfortunately not where Castrulan is sat right now. So it looks like they're going to be able to get away with all of this, and this should be just sort of information gathered on both sides. But yeah, Castrulan is just far enough away so that he should spot this coming. Yeah, look at that. Beautifully positioned.
Very nicely positioned, but hopefully we could see some more action. But no, he just continues to do the Beyblade. Boom! Camille go room instead of go death. Smart decision by Castrulan, and an absolutely annoying dance.
This is perfect level 1 from Lucent, honestly. They just sit, they haven't put any wards anywhere, so getting that information early on hasn't quite been set up, but that is the perfect 5 point, essentially. Slight criticisms on Fuyu's positioning, but it's not important since they didn't go down into the bot lane. But look at your junglers once again, starting both on their red buff. It's actually going to be Fantasy pathing up toward the Camille versus Ornn matchup, as we would have expected. Gaboosh looking to utilize Merbs and Baloo. Also an opportunity for this dive down on the bot side. If they get a sort of stacked wave, they can potentially deny Seraphine. It's incredibly squishy. Doesn't have a heal or barrier or anything like that to keep herself safe from that early on. But we'll have that TP to get back into lane. And Syntax, you talked about, had been very, very prevalent in this mid lane, performing exceptionally well, looking to bully out the Corki early on and already getting the better end of those trades, using the Clockwork Wind up to do so.
It is always super exciting to see these players who haven't quite had the chance at the big NLC stage, go up against some of the players now currently in Division 2 who has previously played in the NLC. It is kind of a realization, okay, how is the level of the players who haven't quite had the chance of NLC? Do they have the level and the talent to go all the way? And so far, Syntax denying CS and poking out Chimera.
Already you can see.
What?
Okay, yeah, that's a that's funny. So the way Threshold interacts is that he has like 3 instances of pulls, and he's gonna hit you on all 3 of those. So Nautilus. Wasn't the reason that he tends to get countered by Nautilus, but is also just a fun tidbit as to an addition to that fact. But Merbs and Baloo should be having the run of things down in this bot side. Consistent damage from Seraphine simply doesn't exist. So Jinx is always going to have the run of the lane phase for the time being. And when they've got winning support matchup as well, Munster Rugby Gaming should be looking to not only have a good wave state, but probably force a few CS leads as well. And really start to hammer home an advantage fairly early on, particularly when Gabush is pathing toward this bot side, enabling them, making sure that nothing really can go wrong in terms of a fantasy gank to ruin their lane.
Beautiful little beat drop there towards the bot lane, and want to check back with our junglers. They have almost both full cleared, ready to get out onto the map, looking for ganks. Fantasy
Gank mid.
almost looked for the mid lane, but goes up, takes the Scryer's Bloom, now walks back, has the opportunity to gank in here, but Gabush finds out Simba, who is caught in a bad situation. Dredgeline and a flash is able to get him out. Chimera with the W, however. Sonic Wave connects, and it is beautiful, but Baloo outplays it cleanly. That man is insane on the Thresh. It better be banned. But now Gabush looks to run down Syntax, does connect. The damage is there. The death sentence up in a few seconds. Syntax barely survives. The ignite is enough. Baloo calculates everything perfectly. This man could not play any better.
Yeah, Baloo has just absolutely turned up this game. We're 4 minutes into this game and he's done everything perfectly. The decision making has been exceptional. The micro has been exceptional as well. And the linking up with Gabush has just been on point too. Everything about these first few minutes have been incredible from the guy. You talked about coming down from NLC all of last year. Is more than ready for any form of Div 2 antics that's going on, and pathing to predict Simba, they burn his flash. Syntax, you have to say a little bit greedy not to burn his own flash there. Could have survived, but instead expends the TP. And the kill does only go over to the support. By and large, it's not the worst situation, but it does go to show that this guy turned up to play.
This man is an absolute monster. The flash flay to deny the Sonic Wave.
Yeah.
Damn it. It's just absolute scenes. It is incredible League of Legends being played by Baloo. And to be fair, he did have pretty good success. He finished top 2 in his group with the trick during spring. And didn't really have the best summer, but he was one of the better performing members on a struggling Dusty. So he's not even a player that I would see a reason why he didn't get a chance to continue playing in Division 1, but if he continues to play like this, he will certainly get his chance again.
And I want to talk about this bot lane once again, because we've got obviously Seraphine Nautilus, which is a little bit of an abstract bot lane versus a Jinx Thresh, which is incredibly standard. You can already see that the bot lane, the way that Merbs has played this one out just in his own right, has been, I want to credit that as well, because they got a massive wave to go back on. He missed essentially no minions under the turret and had missed 1 minion total from the first 4 waves of farm. Has recognized this is going to be an incredibly farm-oriented game and has got himself a cull as well. So is really in a good position to get to the late game Jinx fantasy that we know and love and be a superstar in the team fights. The Munster Rugby Gaming squad relies on 2 carries, Chimera and Merbs, and currently it's Merbs who's willing and ready to be set up for success. Chimera, on the flip side, having a really tough time in the mid lane. Despite Syntax going down, he's got double the CS of his opponent and has been bullying out this Corki.
So the Drake has also been started. It's been on the rift for 1.5 minutes. And as Gabush is the first to make his way down there, he is able to take it for free. I do still want to keep our eyes on this mid lane. Look at how Syntax is absolutely gapping Chimera.
Yeah, like you said, absolutely bullying right now, making this Corki miss farm, miss minions. Fortunately, he has just reached level 6, so those backline minions sort of become unmissable, essentially. Phosphorus Bomb plus Rocket tends to be enough to collect all of those, and once you found your first reset, that's when Corky's rockets really start to come online because you're just not using them in lane, so they recharge freely whilst you're going
Oh,
back.
Theo, will he outplay this? There is no encore to buy more time. The Stormbringer is there, and Mercs picks up the first kill. As you say, Rude, beautiful, flawless, and it is scary to play against Munster Rugby game when the bot lane is ahead. Stompy could go down here on the top side, could start getting ahead for Lucent instead. Stompy, though, managed to make his way out for now. Hookshot wall dive could be up in a few seconds. Sonic Wave does connect. The damage is there, the kick, and the precision protocol. Fantasy picks that one up as Lucent finally gets something back.
Yeah, that's what they needed to do, right? We knew that this was going to be a topside focused game for Lucent early on. They finally are able to find a kill. The wave as well in a really good spot. Chimera. He does it. What?
When did he find that? He got gapped on laning phase and suddenly he just gets a solo kill.
Incredible.
What?
Force this wave under the turret. No. Okay, well, it's still really bad for Syntax because he's had a really good time of things in that mid lane, but the fact that Chimera, with essentially a longsword for combat power and a bit of corrupting potion ticks, is able to find that solo kill completely against the run of play, and goes to show quite why people are valuing Chimera so highly in this league, because finding that solo kill, as we said, doesn't look like it should have happened. This is the setup, and Syntax is just, he must have just been poked out by rockets, and yeah, Syntax with no way of, once he's used dissonance like that, there's nothing that you can do. Q was already down. There was no way to pull the ball back, it would appear, and Shockwave still available for him. Just a solo kill. Chimera outplaying in the laning phase.
Well, I do feel bad for Syntax. I really do. But the Rockets are too strong. The Herald has also been started up. Why? Because there's a big package that could come in and help him out if needed. So no contention from Lucent, as that second neutral objective of the game will fall to Munster Rugby Gaming.
And that's it's really difficult for Lucent this game to continually play toward that top side based exclusively off this package. Chimera dashes it in again. He's going to not find the solo kill this time. But when you're looking to play around a Camille into Ornn matchup, you want obviously a lot of prio from your mid lane so that you can play with that impunity. Unfortunately, Corky with package just bypasses any form of battling for prio, and you just roam faster than anybody. And you can even see Gaboosh is quite happy to walk on forward. I'll take away your Gromp as well and continually try and extend my lead.
Fantasy, be careful, you don't have a smite. It's up in a few seconds, but I don't know if you survive this fight. Fantasy could try and safeguard away, waste one water. Good kick, denies Chimera as well. The Ornn horn gets called, but a good hookshot wall dive denies it. Castruden now gets knocked up. No, Stompy mistimes it. Tactical sweep, connects, and Castruden walks back. But I want to hide in the vision again. There was one more ward before, but they just had so much vision. Munster Rugby Gaming practically owning the top side of Lucent's jungle.
Yeah, I mean, they're only 1,000 gold up, but the map control that they have as well is actually fairly palpable. You can see that Merb's down on that bot side. He's just happily farming away while the rest of the squad are roaming around. Baloo in this mid lane now, shadowing Chimera to make sure that he can push this wave under the turret. You've got Chimera shadowing Gaboosh so that he can go invade, and Stumpy as well feels absolutely fine. He's got that tier in the back pocket, so Fimbulwinter will come through second once whichever mythic item decides to come through for him. Could be literally any of the three that build out of this Barmy. So he's feeling fairly safe up here. That death doesn't really hinder him too much. The CS differential, really not too much to write home about. Castruden would have loved to have like a 10, 15, 20 CS lead, but it's just not been the case here this time out. And currently, Munster Rugby Gaming here, with those two carries and with one of them finding a solo kill for himself in the mid lane, they're looking very, very strong.
And they are now Stumpy, trading a bit up towards the top side. I would, however, like to take our eyes down towards the bottom. A lot of members here, but not only that, it is a Hextech Drake spawning in 40 seconds. If Munster Rugby Gaming get a successful dive, they might just turn it into even more right after.
Yeah, and they obviously don't want to be diving when Fantasy's right there, but with Merbs playing so aggressively, it doesn't take a fortune teller to be able to read that, hey, they maybe got a little bit more support here than they're letting on them, that our vision dictates.
Blue death sentence, and it might actually be death for Fantasy. Locked up, not quite taken down. The Stormbringer misses, but the flash chomp dinner is served. Gaboosh picks up Fantasy.
Yep, you get a Lucent, you get a Blind Monk, then you also get a Dragon for free after the fact. Going to give a lot of pressure down on this bot side once again. Merbs should be able to continually push this wave under the turret. They may even look for a dive prior to going for this Drake, looking to really maximize on their resources. Hey, or we could just not dive and take away the turret in general.
They take the turret, they take the Drake, they take control of the game as well. Merbs is getting gold funneled right into his back pocket and gets a lantern out to safety just for good measure. After that mid lane kill from Camara, it all just starts to fall apart for Lucent.
Yeah, I think it was the mid lane kill obviously feels pretty rough, but that was fairly isolated. The rest of the game has still been exceptionally well played by Munster. Their recognition of where their strengths lie and don't has been truly top tier. Just keeping Merbs funneled in, and we haven't got to see this Jinx yet. And I know I'm hyping it up because at some point it's going to start popping, and we have to just wait for those team fights for that point to come to fruition. Because as soon as we get to see Merbs, rotate it around, and that's already starting to happen as he heads up toward the top lane. They're going for the Caitlyn strategy here of just, okay, we got a winning bot lane, let's just give her every single plate possible. And they've already transitioned that swap up to the top side, so long as we have Kaboosh and Baloo hovering this top side to make sure that Jinx doesn't die to Castrulan 1v1. It's going to be absolutely fine, and that's likely going to be even more plates heading over to your Jinx, more gold funneled into your late game hyper carry, and Munster Rugby Gaming's late game gets even stronger. Lucent's late game gets even scarier because it means Castrulan and Fantasy have got two targets that are both exceptionally scary to try and deal with.
Yeah, normally as a Camille or something, you're able to deal with one strong target, but two almost always becomes too big of a mouthful. Second Herald, not on the map, but still, Munster Rugby Gaming pressuring towards this top side. Merbs rotating up there. He really is the president of this team, being protected by 3 men.
Yeah, they've got 5 people currently sat on the top side, but with TP available for Stumpy, Munster Rugby Gaming really don't mind if they want to, or if Lucent want to sort of step up and try and take this fight. They're waiting to see somebody show bot lane before they step up to this. They don't even see Syntax in the mid lane. Stepping up isn't the easiest situation for them. Ideally, you'd have Merbs right now sitting farming plates. You can see Lantern is ready on Baloo, so that you're sort of playing with that recognition that, okay, I can be a little bit more ambitious with my positioning so long as my Thresh is here to provide me a Lantern. I don't really have anything to worry about.
2, 3, 4 men for Munster Rugby Gaming going up to take this one turret down. They have so much backup that if they even think about trying and engage on Merbs, there is going to be the whole roster within a few seconds to keep him safe. As they even give him the solo gold, the solo CS, he is more than 10 CS a minute. This man is being funneled into beautifully. He's being tucked nicely into bed. And when he wakes up, 3 items in his back pocket, he's ready to take over this game.
Oh, that's so true. That's honestly, that's such a funny analogy, actually, that this is currently the snoozing fest of Merbs right now. He's just AFK farming in his sleep, doesn't care that he can, fight people right now. As soon as he hits that Infinity Edge, he's going to be A-okay to start dishing out the DPS. They've taken down the 2 turrets, though. Side lanes, tier 1s have been taken down. The Rift Herald has now spawned, and they're going to be able to utilize this Rift Herald most likely to break open mid-tier 1 as well. Or
Death Sentence barely misses it. I believe that's the first time Baloo has missed so far today, and it is pretty well done considering we're 15 minutes into the game. Obviously, we might have missed some, but first time he misses on broadcast. Anyway, though, Drake is spawning in 1.5 minutes, but that is not what we care about at the moment. It is that Herald. Fantasy might try and use this window of resets from Munster Rugby Gaming to get it, but instead they play careful. 3k goal behind, 4k actually. They don't want to flip it already.
No, it's going to be hard for Lucent to get back into this game, and of course, they do still have the notion of a Wonder Team fight where they're able to find Jinx, find Corki, Hextech Ultimatum, plus the Shockwave from Syntax is likely going to be enough to take down your AD carry, whoever it is. You can't flash away from Camille if you get locked up in that ulti. Of course, the sort of counterplay is to flash away immediately and not get hit by the ulti to begin with. But if you get able to find that final flank angle for Castrulan, it's fairly easy to hit the Hextech Ultimatum. Not so easy to sustain yourself in it, particularly if Merbs has got a ton of damage, just goes back and buys basically an entire rapid fire cannon.
A bit too far forward here, does E away, but Fantasy could look for the kill. And they kick Stumpy though with the flash, you get out to safety for now, but there comes the insect, there comes the lockdown. Unstoppable, but Bellow's Breath is not going to keep you safe. Castrulan gets his first kill of the game rather.
Kills in the right place. Love that from Lucent. They're putting the gold into the correct carry. Lucent has pretty much elapsed his early game presence, I'll say. We're in the mid game right now, where Lucent can still take 1v1s, for example, versus potentially Merbs and Chimera. But down an entire item, that may well be fairly scary. Sticking gold onto Castrulin is exactly what you'd love to see if you are a Lucent fan. You want this Camille to be able to dive into the backline and find those kills fairly easily, and the extra gold is going to facilitate that quite a lot. Drake spawning though, and you can already see Munster Rugby Gaming. They've got the package ready. They've got their 2 hardcore carries ready to go. Stumpy's back. He's got TP if he wants to use it. Munster Rugby Gaming, they're set up perfectly. They've got all the vision they need, and they're just going to look to try and either fight, take the Drake. They can do anything they want right now with this team composition and the lead that they've already built up.
Odds may be in their favor, but is it enough to win the fight? Ornhorn, everything they could need is there, and Lucent, they don't want to take a bad fight. They go in, push down the mid instead, look to take the turret, but might not even have the time as Chimera has already rotated around Stompy, caught the Ornhorn. The big package is there. The Ornhorn is cancelled over a good Ornhorn, but it's not enough. 2 items on Merbs. A big shockwave, but they just don't have the damage. Merbs shredding through Castrolin, who gets away for now. Chimera and Baloo gone as the re-engage enters through Gaboosh, almost able to take him down. A good kick away to disengage the fight as Lucent actually win it. A 2-for-1 as both Baloo and Chimera falls.
Yeah, Castrulin's able to solo out the mid laner. The sort of dream situation for Lucent comes to fruition, where Castrulin gets some alone time with one of these backline marksmen, finds a kill, and then the rest of Lucent are just able to sustain and drain tank effectively the front line of Munster Rugby Gaming. Stumpy going down there, or actually Baloo rather, but either way, it's a good fight. It's one that Lucent are going to love. If they die here, though, that's not the best situation. Mid-tier 1 falls, and Lucent, their team fights not looking too bad. We're going to get a replay of it here to really show quite what happened. You know, they good engage from Munster. It feels like package. Just because it buys actually a lot of space here. The charms slows up as well quite a lot. They find Zimba, but that shockwave stalls the fight, and that's what buys the space for Castrulin to hit that 1 versus 1 and find that situation. And Fantasy uses the kick to disengage Kaboosh. Makes perfect sense here. With just 1 kill going on to the support that Munster Rugby Gaming got. Overall, a very good fight for Lucent, and potential hints here foreshadowing what could happen in later stages of these games, where if the fights are fairly spread in those large open areas like a mid lane, those are situations where Munster Rugby Gaming could well find issues. But if they start fighting in those choke points, it's a lot harder for Castrulin to find those flank angles and find one person particularly so isolated.
You know, I'm gonna be honest, I thought the game looked kind of doomed before, considering how far ahead Merbs was, but you know what? I'll keep believing in Lucent a little bit longer. After that fight, you know, they might have a chance as the death sentence does miss. A shockwave, a good encore, something could actually win them the game. However, Merbs, as the raid boss, will be the man standing with the cleanse, with the damage, and now the tower dive encore connects on the 2, but he's already gone. Gaboosh just soaking up the damage, takes the lens, and now Castrulin rooted up by the flames jumpers. 2 TPs wasted just to watch their teammate die.
Yeah, it is kind of scary for Munster Rugby Gaming because their composition thrives when they go front to back and when they are grouped up as a 5-man unit. But as you talked about, they're up against things like the Shockwave, like Seraphine Encore, and the Depth Charge, which you don't want to be grouped up against. Typically, it's not the best situation to try and find success, but when you've got these front lines...
Looking for the 1v1 against what is being called the best mid in Division 1, but even a broken champ can save you from the faith of Camille, right? Hookshot, wall dive, yeah, there he goes. The turret won't take him down. The Super Mega Death Rocket not even close. And Castrulin picks up another solo kill, 3-0, and we know how he can deal with those squishy carries.
Really good pick on the side lane. Castrulin doesn't even burn the Ignite to find that one. Hookshot is enough to pick up the kill underneath the turret. A little bit of a misstep, you have to say, from Chimera. A little bit of disrespect toward Camille's positioning. If you don't see her on the map, it's very difficult to get away if she's able to jump on you, as evidenced right there. And these little mistakes here from Munster Rugby Gaming could end up costing them. They've still got a very good win condition in their back pocket. Obviously, we've touched on Merbs being this hyperscaler, and he goes back, picks up the BF sword, so it's not Infinity Edge yet, and he likely won't have that before the spawn of this Infernal Soul. No, he won't. You can see just the 75 gold there. but he's still in a great position, and he's still 3,500 gold over his counterpart right now, which is insane. It's the entirety of the gold lead for Munster Rugby Gaming is sat exclusively in Merbs' pocket. That's who your eyes need to be on for this next Drake fight, which is in about 45 seconds. Lucent are looking at Castrulan. Munster Rugby Gaming, they're using Merbs.
Eyes on Castrulan, as you say, and Merbs, the man with so much gold in his back pocket. If he goes down, the goal difference disappears in an instant. So, eyes on him, of course, with both summoners up. He looks in a pretty good situation as Skaboosh goes down here, saves the bot lane turret. Chimera does have flash and TP, can join the fight if he wants to. No big package, however, as he is just pushing that top lane. Could recall.
He's going to have package.
Run down instead. Ooh,
yeah, package is surely spawning soon.
Can Syntax stop him? Yeah, he can just stop him. Does he win the 1v1 though? That is the question. There is not many rockets. A good flash away. Chimera outplays it so far, but the fight is not over. TP is available for Chimera if he wants to join the fight. He also has the most HP. Super Mega Death Rocket misses. Herald has been summoned, but where is it? It's just in the middle of the Drake pit. Chimera is TPing in. Syntax can't get here. This could be a disaster, but Merbs gets engaged upon. If he goes down, it is game over. Castrulan, can you get him? No, not quite. The President is still safe, and he's dishing out the damage. Wakey. It's time to lose Lucent. Merbs and Chimera picks up the kills, picks up the fight, and takes the soul with them.
They don't have all of their damage. They don't have all of those long-range spells to deal with the backline. Syntax can't fight without his TP, and he doesn't get that. Chimera TP's in. He is the difference maker. Whilst Merbs is absorbing so much pressure from the Lucent squad, Chimera TP's in and is free hitting from the backline. Munster Rugby Gaming find themselves the Infernal Soul. They find themselves the fight, and they are now well poised to set themselves up for a win. We're only 23 minutes into this game. These carries are going to continue to get stronger and stronger, and just take another look at this team fight. Check Chimera out throughout the duration of this fight. Absolutely untouched. Merbs lives on a slither of health. True damage comes through. Knock-up comes through. It's not enough. Lucent can't get into the backline, and Chimera untouched throughout. Syntax walks here just to see his team fall on the Infernal Drake slain. And as Castrulan may well find a solo kill here onto Stumpy.
Honestly, let's see how Stumpy deals with this. Does a good amount of damage with the Infernal Soul, but as you know, it is nowhere near what a Camille can put out. Castrulan, so strong. Almost had the damage before, but looks to be taken down as the hookshot ignores a lot of things, but doesn't ignore damage. Chimera picks him up with the big package.
And he can just continue to push here down in this bot side. There's nobody from Lucent that's going to be anywhere nearby to respond. They could go for a Baron attempt here, but that seems very risky given they don't actually have any consistent damage. More of a bait than anything else. But Chimera, he can find gold on this bot side and just continue to extend his lead. 7 kills on the Corki right now. Doesn't have a Tiamat or anything yet, so he is relying on those rocket AoE more so than anything else. Is there a world?
Oh no, he's spotted. Oh my god, it's just a nuke, man. That's why we don't like Corki. Even with an Infernal Soul, it's even worse. This man has 2.5 items, one of them being a defensive one. And he just rips half of Syntax's HP bar to shreds. Baron, almost in the eyes of Munster Rugby Gaming.
It's almost as though Corki has been banned in the first 2 games for a reason.
Yeah, almost.
There's almost a reason why Corki doesn't get past Blue Side 1 for the games that he's not banned. You know, this is a champ that's pretty good. It's pretty good most times, and now for Munster, right, their goal should be to get toward that Baron. They've got about 2 minutes of time to play with before they want to start setting back up down on that bot side and refocusing their attention around the Elder Drake. But they've got more than enough damage to deal with this Drake. If there's a lapse from Lucent, if there's a brief window where they forget to check or don't have vision and things don't get swept out, it's going to be Munster Rugby Gaming that just nuke it down because they've got a Jinx on 3 items, they've got a Corki in tow. Fortunately, they have more than enough vision right now to know, at the very least, that Munster don't have their focus fully set there. As a Fantasy takes a big rocket, takes himself the Baron auto as well. They may be looking for a skirmish.
Does sidestep the death sentence very nicely, but earlier you talked about Castrulan. He needs to get on Merbs. He's the main man. But is Merbs the main man anymore? Because Chimera is on a very strong champion. He's piloting very well. Who does Castrulan pick now?
Whoever he can get to, because
Okay.
both of these guys are so long range, really. Lethal tempo plus rapid fire cannon for Merbs. They don't even need the Baron to take down a turret. That's a bad sign, honestly. But if Castrulan, I love this from Lucent. They can still utilize Castrulan in a side lane. Chimera does have TP to try and punish onto the sides, but whoever goes to answer this Camille probably can't win that fight. 2 items on her right now. She's got lifesteal as well. You can see Chimera doesn't mind spending his time down here since he's going to be able to utilize the TP to get back up into the Baron side if a fight happens to be engaged on. But 3 members on the top side, they can do this. Remember, Jinx has enough DPS and the Lantern over. Merbs can rocket this one down. They're
They don't
not
know.
even on vision. They don't know that this is happening. And
Brutal.
yeah,
Wait, does Mebra not matter though?
they pinged it. They pinged it. They think they know.
They have an idea, but they can't get there in time. Merbs might have to show himself. His mana bar is running ever low, but he's not. How is he not spotted there? He's standing right there. I can see him, but I can't. It's just gone. What? Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I'm calling some BS on that, like Scuttle thing. That needs to be changed. He was standing right there. I could see him, but Lucent couldn't.
So to that point, right? I've had this peeve with Scuttle for a long time. Lucent, are they going to try and go for this? They've got 3 people here. Surely they can't get away with this one. No, they're fine. I've had this annoyance with Scuttle forever where the vision that the crowd provides isn't equal to the movement speed radius, and that annoys me. That's all I'm going to say on it, because we have a very intense game going on right now where Lucent started out fairly weak. Munster Rugby Gaming did get themselves a very strong lead to begin with, but then somehow, some way, Lucent looked like they were coming back into this one. But all of a sudden, Munster have picked themselves up the Infernal Soul plus now a Baron. The issue with this Baron, I feel like it's going to be utilized to get them an Elder, and then the Elder is going to be tried to utilize to get them a fight that they can win. But Fuyu plus Syntax is a lot of wave clearing. Without Baron, pushing creeps into these guys is going to be fairly difficult. You are just going to have to brute force a dive if you don't have the Baron. And, with the Elder plus Infernal Soul, I'll give it to you. It's a pretty easy fight to try and force.
Oh no.
Particularly with a Corki who's going to be packaging on this fight. Any form of engage. Any engage here is good for Munster. It has to be terrible to be bad.
I have a hard time seeing how they lose this Elder fight. 15 seconds, Chimera has so much damage. That is half his HP bar with 1 rocket. The big pack is not even needed. Chimera goes golden to buy some time as Castrulan will get taken down. In the meantime, Merbs has the reset. Chimera has the backline access. Say hello to his little friends. It's called rocket. Half your HP bar gone. Another kill to Chimera. Another kill for the President. Merbs TP's down towards the bot lane. Tries to flank with it. I don't really know what he does. But hey, they can run it down mid. They can end the game. And Munster Rugby Gaming, just so dominant.
Yep, from start to finish, a little bit of a falter in the mid game, but Munster Rugby Gaming, they should be able to take this win here. Death timers not too punishing for the Munster Rugby Gaming side. Baron now in their favour. I mean, I don't know if it wears off in time, but this is going to be the game.
Oh my god, a nice little death sentence yet again from Baloo, something he's done the entire game. And another flay to deny another Sonic Wave. Nothing you do, Lucent, will matter. It is only a matter of seconds until Merbs are shredded through your base. There we go. 16 kills, 30 minutes, the longest game of today. But definitely feels like one of the most dominant ones. Wow.
Every game
Murder.
has looked very dominant, but just at different stages, different points. It has to be said that the winning teams have certainly known that they were winning. I think that's probably one of the most basic, but also true statements that we could put out about the games here for today. Because my oh my, Munster started out strong, like we say. They had those little falters in the mid game, but by and large were very much ahead. You have to give credit to Gabush and Baloo. Their roaming duo in the early stages was absolutely lethal. They were able to set themselves up for objective after objective. 23 minutes they've got an Infernal Soul. 25 they're able to steal away a Baron as 3 members. They were in a good spot pretty much throughout. And when you've got a Jinx that's free farming up against a Seraphine in this case, but anything in the bot lane, and you're able to roam around the map and just pick up all of these turrets for free, it feels like the game's going to be very hard for you. On top of the fact Chimera's finding solo kills and triple kills in team fights, it's never easy if you're looking at this from a Lucent perspective.
It was a rough game. It was a very rough game. They had glimmers of hope. That one fight where I actually got a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
I got a little bit of faith back, but it was only percentages. Anyway, though, we'll throw it into a break. Then we will be back with both winner and loser interview before we get ready for match number 4. Don't go anywhere.